It's about understanding your audience and their preferences.
Okay, so it's not one size fits all. You've got to really tailor the actions to each specific situation. Our source material also mentions something called conditions. What role do those play in this whole automation tree?
Oh, conditions are like the decision points within the automation. They add that layer of intelligence that allows you to personalize those experiences. So think of them as if-then statements. If the customer clicks on this link, then send them this email. If not, send them a different one.
So that's creating all these different branches in our tree, each one tailored to a specific customer behavior. How granular can you get with these conditions?
Oh, you can get incredibly
Yeah.
specific. You can filter by purchase, history, engagement level, website behavior. I mean, really, the more detailed your conditions, the more personalized that experience becomes.
Okay, now this is starting to sound really powerful. But I have to admit, I'm also feeling a little overwhelmed.
Right.
Building all this out with the triggers, actions, conditions. Is this something a non-technical person can even handle?
You know, it's not as daunting as it sounds. Because most of these modern CRM platforms have these intuitive drag and drop interfaces. You don't need to be a coding whiz to create really powerful automations.
That's a relief to hear. But I imagine there's still a learning curve. What are some of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're first starting out with these automation trees?
You know, the biggest mistake I see is jumping in without a clear strategy. It's so tempting to want to automate everything, but that can just lead to a really disjointed customer experience. So before you build anything, take the time to map out your customer journey, identify those key touch points, where automation can really make a difference.
That's great advice. Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts of building this out, let's talk about the why. Our sources touch on some of the benefits, but I want to go deeper. Why should our listeners care about mastering this skill? What's the real payoff?
The benefits are huge. I mean, first and foremost, automation frees up your time. By offloading those repetitive tasks, you can focus on strategic work, the stuff that actually moves the needle for your business.
Okay, that's huge.
Yeah.
I think we all crave a little more time in the day. But it's not just about saving time, right? There's got to be a strategic advantage to using automation.
Exactly. When you're not bogged down by manual tasks, you can devote more energy to crafting truly personalized customer experiences. And that can lead to more engagement, more loyalty, and ultimately more revenue.
So we're talking about working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
I love that. Our sources also briefly mention the ethics of automation. Any thoughts on that?
Oh, that's so important. Automation can be incredibly powerful, but you have to use it responsibly. The goal is to enhance the human touch, not replace it. So make sure your automation feels personal and helpful, not intrusive or spammy, and always give people the option to opt out.
Makes sense. I'm really curious to see how this works in practice. Can we look at an example from our source material to see how all these pieces fit together?
Absolutely. One of the guides had this perfect example of a consultation follow-up automation. So let's say someone books a consultation on your website.
Okay, so the booking is our trigger. What happens next?
So one day later, they automatically get this follow-up email with helpful information about the consultation, maybe some tips to prepare, and a link to reschedule if they need to. Now, here's where conditions come in.
Okay, so we're creating a branch in the tree. What are we checking for?
So let's say we want to check if they clicked on that rescheduling link. If they did, we might send them a reminder email a few days before the consultation. If not, maybe we send a different email with additional resources or testimonials, just to build up that excitement and anticipation.
Wow, I see how this can get really sophisticated. You're creating this personalized flow.
Yeah.
Based on those individual actions, can we go a little deeper into the different types of actions? I'm really curious about what's possible beyond just sending emails.
Absolutely. Let's think beyond email for a sec.